Before I get started, don't forget the kickoff is live this Sunday, 4 o'clock for Arsenal versus Manchester United. All right, welcome back to the kickoff. Today is the day after Newcastle lost in the last minutes against Liverpool, and I still feel horrendous. This is one of those that you keep thinking, nah, that didn't happen, did it? But now the dust has settled, I wanted to do a video about how I'm feeling about it overall and where this leaves both teams moving forward. Now I want to start with Jamie Carragher, because he's a well-respected pundit and he has to have a take on the game. But the level of bias he showed in one of the incidents in this game yesterday, it was just terrible. And I'm not here to pick on him because I do like him. He's usually a great pundit. I don't think he's trash or anything like that. I think he's usually spot on. But I'm looking at this image right here, and this is the moment where Van Dijk brings down Alexander Isak, who, without being swiped by Van Dijk, is directly through on goal. And Jamie Carragher himself has commented several times on what a lethal, composed, one-on-one finisher Alexander Isak is. To say that this is not a goal-scoring opportunity, I can't even say it without laughing, right? He said, you just can't say for a fact that that was a goal-scoring opportunity. If that's the case, if this is not a last-man-back goal-scoring opportunity moment, then nothing is. Now, I don't think Jamie is particularly that biased on a game-to-game basis with Liverpool, but I haven't really noticed it. But this is mental. I can only assume because it's Van Dijk and Liverpool that he's sticking up for his guys and subconsciously is seeing something that the rest of the world cannot. Because that is the last man back, and if Van Dijk is not doing that foul, Alexander Isak takes that on and is through on goal, 1v1 with the keeper, and he always scores those. I don't know if he was thinking subconsciously because of Van Dijk doesn't usually do this, or it's very early in the game for sending off, or what, or Alisson's such a great goalkeeper, he might say, whatever. It's an opportunity to score a goal. Facts, mate. People can say whatever they want of anything that comes in this video, but this is as concrete as a sending off gets. You got that wrong, mate. And I respect you, you're a great pundit, but this one, you have to hold your hands up, man. That was a shocking take. We've all done them, so, you know, I'm not pointing the finger as if I'm innocent here. It's bad, terrible, wretched, awful take. So it was irrelevant now, Liverpool won, as it happens, so doesn't even matter. But I know that Liverpool fans will be complaining because they don't want Van Dijk to be out for 3 games. It's his fault. And the fact that he sat there and argued with that referee the way he did, many other players who don't have the squeaky clean image of Van Dijk would be in the bin for that even worse. So he'll be lucky if it's not more than 3 games. Because the way he spoke to the officials afterwards, he crossed the line, didn't he? And if there's one thing I hate football fans doing, it's, oh, well, if he played for this club, it would have been this. Oh, shut up, you fucking victim. Sick of it, man. This victim mentality among grown men on social media. Whiny, whingy twats. And yes, I've done it before. But it's not all right when you do it. So what did Newcastle do wrong and what did Liverpool do right? Well, Newcastle thought we were in cruise control. We thought we had them beat. The mistake you make there is mentally, you switch off. Liverpool, while they're still in the game, are really in the game. It's not like other teams that don't have the firepower. They have as good a firepower, arguably, as anyone does in world football. It's like going into the 12th round with Deontay Wilder. He's not out of it. Liverpool are never out of it until you put them out of it. You have to nail them to the ground. And Jurgen Klopp, his mentality is within those players, and as much as I don't like Jurgen Klopp anymore because of the way he's carried himself since Pep sort of knocked him down a few pegs, I respect him, and he is great at motivating footballers. He is one of the all-time greats at that, and Eddie Howe is usually great at that too. But when you look at the way we attacked that second half, my days, it was an embarrassing lack of intensity. Eddie Howe likes to say our identity is intensity. Well, I think we need a fucking refresh on that course. At that training ground this week, they need beasted for that, because that was unacceptable. And he made his own mistakes. I'll get onto them. But you don't treat Liverpool like a training ground session. You're wondering, when the hell are we going to switch on? We've got Alexander Isak up front. How about we create some fucking chances for this lad? One of the best finishers in world football, and he might as well have not have been there. And when Callum Wilson did come on, Harvey Barnes didn't even bother passing to him. I think we've been exposed a bit in a three-man midfield in the lack of roles that are in there. And I know we've got a bit of a fluidity in our system of Joe Linton, Tonali and Bruno, and they're interchangeable in terms of dropping in at times, although Bruno seems to be the one who's taken on the role of the six. But he isn't a natural six, and it's something that we've sort of pushed him into because we want the best players on the pitch at all times. But I'm not sure that can work in these kind of games. I think we need better protection for the back line. And when a team is sitting back and defending well, we need someone with the ability to unlock a defence on their own. And our style is fast passing, intensity, running you off the pitch. But if we can't run in behind you, then how do we unlock that defence? When you look at what James Maddison is doing for Spurs right now and the fact that we didn't get him and didn't pay the bill, that game was crying out for a James Maddison, because Bruno and Tonali are lovely passers of the ball, but they don't do the penetrative stuff that he does. And then out wide, I think Gordon played really, really well. But then he was subbed off. Absolutely mental. And Tonali also, one of the best players on the pitch for us, subbed off. Mental. Eddie Howe got his substitute so wrong, it was shocking. Genuinely unthinkable. Like, what are you doing, mate? And I love Eddie, but facts are facts. And to leave Almiron on, who, yes, he hit the post, but my days, man. Watching him play football is really difficult sometimes. He's such a one-trick pony. Cut in on the left, have a dig. It's the same shit all the time. And if we're ever going to level up, he is one of the first people out the door for me. One half a season of form in 4 fucking years it's not good enough. He's had more than enough time to show us what he can do. And yes, at times when it's happening for him, yeah, it's brilliant. But reality is it's never going to be what the level we're needing if we're wanting to compete with the Liverpool. Where's the fucking service to Isak? And we let them off so much in having the extra man. We should have been so intense and really forcing them to give the ball up in dangerous places, and we let them off with it. You know, I can talk about tactics and technique all I like, but it's actually just down to graft at that point. To bring off Isak, who was the best footballer at the club, Gordon, who was the best player on the day, and Tonali, who was the second best player on the day, it just beggars belief. You've had an absolute meh. And by contrast, to be fair, you know, even down to 10 men, Klopp stayed positive, bringing on Jota, bringing on Núñez. And look, I'm not saying it was genius, because they're good players, and it's quite obvious that if you're chasing the game at 10 men, having an energetic, chaotic player like Núñez is a great option to have. You paid 85 million for him. I've been singing the lad's praises since day one, because I do rate him, despite missed opportunities. He has a lot of good qualities. And the fact that you've got a player of that level on the bench speaks volumes about the level of what Liverpool are at, and they do have more high quality players than Newcastle do. The fact that we beat them to top 4 last season is an embarrassment to them. They should be getting top 4 ahead of us. Absolutely. They were on for the quadruple the year before. And weirdly, I think the sending off of Liverpool actually forced them to play it safer and actually help their game plan from conceding more goals. Because Newcastle, because we don't have that James Maddison, what we need is you lot to come forward and then get runners in behind, like Anthony Gordon, and exploit the stupidity of Trent Alexander-Arnold sometimes. We couldn't do that anymore because they were so pinned back. So they didn't really have much of a choice but to throw it to fucking Núñez and hope for the best, and it worked. And I do think that there was a large element of luck in Liverpool's win. That's not to take away from what good things they did down to 10 men. I will get onto that now. I've got to shout out this account on Twitter, ABL, because they often do good tactical breakdowns on their threads. And you can see here how Liverpool made use of their forwards here in pressing Newcastle. Even though they had less men, they stayed in great position so that if Newcastle do get the ball, they're close enough to put it on you. And as he says, yeah, Joe Linton was free between the lines, but Matip would step out of line to pick up the extra man. At all times, their positional sense, Liverpool, was so good in not allowing Newcastle to exploit having the extra man. That's great from them, but it's also frustrating for us. And again, it's that complacency. It's only 1-0. I kept repeating it throughout the fucking stream. And as this lad rightly says, because of losing the extra man, Trent would be a lot more responsible and staying back instead of bombing forward in the midfield, which ironically made it harder for Newcastle. And despite the heroics of Nunes and Alisson and how hard the players worked for the team, I do wonder how repeatable this is going to be and how many problems they're going to run into, because you look at how defensively exposed they were in their last game before Newcastle, the one against Bournemouth, then how they conceded early again against Newcastle. They're massively open at times, and only through the sending off were they forced to be more responsible. Maybe they should learn a lesson from this. And I know they need to spend more money, but I think being more conservative and not being so chaotic is actually the way to help them, because when you've got forwards like that, if you do keep it tighter, they will punish most teams. Moving forward for Newcastle, I think the reason I'm so gutted is Klopp's antics last season and the way he's shit-talked Newcastle throughout the season, and also the hope. I believed that we were going to win this game. If I'd known Eddie Howe's record is what it is against Jurgen Klopp, I probably would have been a bit more smart, because I didn't realise how trash his record is against Klopp. It's horrendous. I'm not going to turn on Eddie Howe, but he does need to learn from this. What was the halftime team talk like? Why were we so flat? Why were the substitutions bad? Why are we starting Miguel Almiron? And is the midfield balance right? These are things he just needs to really think about. And it comes back to what I was saying after the Man City game, is we don't look like killers. We're shriveled up in front of goal. We're panicking. We're worried about making mistakes because we're not used to the big stage. We've bought a whole load of potential. None of these lads, outside of Kieran Trippier, have been and achieved greatness before. So when they're in that moment where it's right out there to go and grab it, and I'm not putting pressure on them to beat Man City, I'm putting pressure on them to perform at the level they can against Man City. And when you massively underperform, when you're under pressure, it's because you're not dealing with that pressure. And that's a challenge to those players to say, can you deal with it? If you want to win trophies, you're going to fucking have to learn, and learn quick. And in these last two games, absolutely bottled it. And part of that's down to the recruitment as well. And I'm not saying we've recruited badly, because certainly the players we've brought in have all the potential and seem to be getting better with every game. But are we lacking that man in the middle who's been there, done it, got the t-shirt, and can open the game up and has the experience in finals, in big moments, where he ain't worried? Give me the ball. Maybe. And against Liverpool, we really did lack that. I'm not panicking, because these are two of the best teams in world football. But it's food for thought in the future. If we ever want to get to these levels, well, clearly we're not there yet, and we need to think about what we need to do to get there. And getting killers through the door is what you need. And when you look at this window, all right, Tonali is a really good footballer. He looks the business. I thought he was one of the best players in the game, and he belongs at this level. The young lad, Lewis Hall, one for the future. Livramento, one for the future. Harvey Barnes looks good, but signed from a relegated team. So I'm still sort of hoping he comes good. Again, it's the profile of we're building something for the future, but none of these lads have reached the promised land before. And I do think that we do need to think about profiles of people who aren't scared in these big moments and have been there and have proven that they belong there, as well as ones for the future. I just want to see you go down with a real fight, knowing you gave everything you're capable of. And we haven't seen that in the last two matches, because I believe if we did do that, we'd have at least 3 points out of those two games, if not more. So that was my overall take on the game. Congrats to Liverpool fans. You've been bantering us a lot. For the most part, it's been pretty nice. A few people crossed the line or whatever, but I know where you live. I'll forget about it. All right, don't worry. No, it's fine. It's fine. I've really been getting some stick. But nothing has been as bad as having to see that big fucking smile on Jurgen Klopp's face. But anyway, I'll see you again this Sunday. It's Arsenal versus Manchester United. 4 o'clock. We'll be live on the Kickoff YouTube channel. Come and stop by. All the boys will be there. We'll be reading your comments out during the show as well, as long as they're not nasty. Thank you. Cheers. Thanks. I'll see you there. See you. Bye.